Hello and welcome to the Ancient Book Review. Today we are doing Euthyphro by Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher. So it's a very short book, or story, I guess. It's not very long. You can find the audio recording. It's about 40 minutes. It's about Socrates before his trial. Which, of course, if you know, Socrates was tried by the Athenian court for misleading the youth and was forced to be executed by suicide, which is a weird way to do it, which is covered in a previous book we reviewed, Phaedo. So this is Euthyphro. It is a dialogue to the Socratic method. So it's like a play, kind of. It's just two people talking on the steps to the courtroom. It's about Euthyphro and Socrates talking. So Euthyphro is on the way to try his father for the murder of a slave who was, or a servant, I guess, who was also a murderer. And he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's saying he's being pious in his action. Socrates is, of course, being accused of misleading the youth. And accused of making new gods, as he put it. So that's the crime he's being accused of. But mostly this is talking about what is piety. Which Euthyphro claims to know the answer to. And so Socrates decides to poke a little fun at him and pretends to be his disciple. He says, okay, Euthyphro, you know what piety is, what the right thing to do is, what piety is. Tell me what piety is so that I can do it. And maybe I can use it in my trial coming up. All right? Euthyphro, of course, is younger than Socrates, and but he thinks he knows all the answers. He says, I'm an expert on the gods and on piety and all these things. And Socrates said, okay, well then maybe you can help me. So he feigns to want to become Euthyphro's disciple. So Euthyphro first starts and he says, what is pious is prosecuting people who are doing the wrong thing. Which, coincidentally, is exactly what Euthyphro is on the way to do. He's on the way to prosecute his father for doing the wrong thing. Then Socrates says, oh, well, you have to be more specific than that, or more general than that. And then he changed it to what is dear to the gods. Doing what is dear to the gods is what is pious. And Socrates says, okay, what is dear to the gods? Well, the gods fight with each other, right? They have disagreements and quarrels. So what is good or dear to one god is not dear to another god. So that can't be the definition, since different gods have different definitions of or what is dear to them, right? So then Euthyphro changed it. Oh, well, it's reverence or fear of the gods, which will come back to being related to the Bible. And then he changes it to, no, it is praying and serving the gods. So it is being, worshiping the gods, and that is what is pious. And so Socrates says, okay, well, if that's what piety is, then what can we possibly give to the gods? How can we serve the gods that can actually benefit them? Because if we pray to the gods and they give us good stuff, then we're getting something good, but we can't give them anything good. So how is that a fair deal, or like a business with the gods? And Euthyphro says, well, I'm really busy, I gotta go now. And that's how it ends. So a couple of analytical points about it. This does not mix well with Christian or even many monotheistic beliefs. The arguments set forth are largely specific to paganism, or polytheism in general for the most part, but specifically, of course, Greek paganism, because the gods bicker with each other and whatnot. So those are some of the arguments used against it. At first I was thinking, okay, well, maybe there could be some parallels or arguments that a modern-day atheist or someone might be able to use against Christianity. I wanted to see what those could be. Not really anything, because the definitions and everything set forth in Christianity and other religions are a little bit more fleshed out, and these sorts of arguments don't work against them. For instance, what is pious is pretty easy, and it's a similar one to what Euthyphro comes to, except Greek paganism doesn't really work well, but worshiping God and doing what God wants you to do. So it is not serving God as in giving him something, but rather it is doing his will. So doing the right thing. So helping feed the poor, taking care of people, things of that nature, forgiving, as Jesus puts it, taking care of your neighbor and treat your neighbor as you would yourself. The golden rule and whatnot. But he also gives specific examples, taking care of widows, etc. So the arguments in there are basically Socrates more or less playing an atheist and Euthyphro being at the time, modern Greek pagan. And so he's basically, tricking him and making him look like a fool. So this could be seen as the first atheist YouTuber making a gotcha of the religious person of the time. It works out a little bit better because Socrates does make some very good arguments against the pagan beliefs, which at the time did not have any good responses to Socrates' arguments against them. Like, they don't even know what piety is, or they can't properly define it. You kind of know what it is, but what's the real definition so they can be universally applied is not put forth, at least not as shown from Socrates' point of view, or in this book. I don't know if there was any contemporary pagan theologians at the time that had rebuttals to this. That would be interesting to see. But all in all, it's very short and very interesting exercise of the mind. Not, as with a lot of these Greek pagan-based philosophers, not super relevant to any ideas that are thought of today. I mean, these are ancient ideas, and people have been thinking about this for a while. Regardless, Plato is a prominent figure in philosophy, and if you are studying philosophy, you should read Plato, and this is a very good short thing to at least begin your studies of Plato and the other Greek fathers of philosophy. So if you're interested in philosophy and whatnot, it's worth a read. It's certainly a nice exercise of the mind. Once again, doesn't take too long. One morning, a little warm up of your brain. It's not too bad. So that is Euthyphro by Plato, and this has been the Ancient Book Review.